Some of you may have seen the video from last year, healing a vocal polyp without the need for surgery. If not, I'll include a link in the description. I didn't expect to be making another healing video so soon, but the need came to try and coach another voice back to health. Mine. I recently got sick, as we humans do, and normally that's not a big deal, but in this case, once I felt better, I wasn't able to regain my voice in the usual recovery time. So when I realized that this was going to be more serious and require more care, I turned on the camera so I could document my thoughts and my process as I assessed and worked on my voice. Now, going through all of the footage, the thought of the world hearing all of these wonderful sounds coming out of me was, and still is, kind of horrifying, especially from a voice coach. But knowing that others could find themselves in a similar situation, I decided to share my journey with all of you. Now, as you can hear, the story does have a happy ending, but in the beginning, I wasn't exactly sure what was going on or exactly how serious that it was. So watch and hear what I went through in healing a voice to my voice. Welcome to this very unique video. So a little over a week ago, for whatever reason, my body decided to go into some very violent coughing fits for 2 straight days, where I was coughing extremely hard to the point that it was gagging me. It was harsh and it was frequent. Now I feel fine now, but what is left over is this. Now this might just sound like, morning voice. I haven't really warmed or coordinated my voice very much. This is actually the way that my voice is after warming, and it's not quite the control that I'm used to. So I'm going on the assumption now that there is some vocal damage, that coughing has created some kind of damage. And so I wanted to kind of document this so that you could come along with me to see what do I do in this case. So I will tell you that right now I'm not terribly worried about this. Is it a concern? Yes, but it's not to the point where I'm worried for the future of my voice. I haven't actually had this loss of control of my voice for probably over 20 years now. So I figured this could be an opportunity to literally put my voice where my mouth is and try to show you the things that I'm going to do to try to get my voice back, what I'm worried about, what I'm not worried about, things like that. Now, this is where I normally would ask you to go get checked out to know what you're dealing with. But even if I did find, let's say, a polyp on my voice, I would want to do some kind of rehab to see if I can shrink it before dealing with the next stage. So what I've decided to do is to see if I can heal my voice over the next week or so. And if it's not any better in a week, then we will kind of reassess things. So where I'm going to start is a basic assessment. I want to have something that I can measure to say, am I getting any better, yes or no? And so I'm a big fan of sweeps, sirens, whatever you want to call them. So what I'm going to do is start at the bottom of my register and kind of slide up to see where I start to notice a problem. So if I just go, so that's right around E flat 3. Not great, but not bad. So I definitely felt a shift in my voice there. I started to lose control. Now, what I don't want to do is start to push through that, because I know I could go, and it's perfectly fine, but I wanted to go as soft as I could because I'm looking for that disconnection. I'm looking for that problem, that sort of hiccup that I have in my voice, so that I can measure where that is. And that tends to be, right now, it looks like it's around E flat 3. So if I, once again, go, and I kind of feel that shift around there too. That's around that E flat again. So I know that that's where I'm at today versus tomorrow and the next day and the next day. And so hopefully that process will be easier tomorrow than it is today. Now, it's important to not change anything while you're kind of trying to figure this out for your voice, because like I said, if you get louder, you're going to start to notice that you have more notes, but it's not necessarily going to be healthy. So you want to keep it at a consistent, low volume, nice and easy, and be looking for those problems early. I kind of laugh at it being E flat 3, but it's kind of what would be expected right now. So my goal is that goes higher and higher and higher without any more effort. Now, a couple of encouraging things. If I go, I am getting vibration on all of those pitches. It's just not steady, and it's certainly not sustainable. I'm losing it, but it comes back. I'm losing it, and it comes back. And so there's some kind of a coordination issue going on right now. But it doesn't just stop completely. So it doesn't just go, and I don't get it back. I would be a little bit more concerned if that was happening. But since it's not, it just generally feels different and a little more hiccupy than it did before. So one of the things that I wanted to point out is that sometimes this is not your fault at all. Sometimes you could be choking on water and you can cause damage to your voice. In my case, excessive coughing, very violent coughing caused an issue. I can't exactly tell my body to stop coughing. If I could, I would have, believe me. So it's not necessarily your technique or that you're singing wrong. Now, if you sing wrong on a damaged voice, then it could be more problematic. But right now, I know my limitations. And so I can say that this happened to me because of the coughing and I haven't gotten my voice back yet. I'm not panicking about it yet, but I just have to realize that I have limitations on my voice that I haven't had before. And I can hear these limitations. It's what I hear in clients all the time. This is a chance for me to be my own client and see if I can get my voice back to where I'm used to it being and not cause more damage. I'm going to keep my voice active. I'm not going to go on vocal rest because that has been proven to not work. So what I'm going to do instead is kind of keep my voice light like it is right now. I'm not really going to talk any louder than this or necessarily even higher than this. I might do a lot of humming, so probably some vocal fries as well. So as long as it's relaxed. And so all I'm trying to do is to get somewhat of a predictable and sustainable sound out of my voice, whatever that may be. What I don't want to do is start changing my technique to make my voice make a sound. That's where I'm going to get into trouble, because even after you are healed, if you still kind of have those habits, that could develop into more problems. So my goal is to take the pressure off of my voice and see how much I can get it to vibrate without any more effort. So I might even do some connection exercises, something like, oh, 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 oh. Anything that's light and easy to try to get my voice to vibrate in as close to a normal pattern as I'm used to, without adding any extra pressure. So I'll be doing this throughout the day, kind of testing my voice as I go to see how it feels. And then tomorrow I'm going to check in again and see how it feels then, and hopefully we're going to see some progress. Okay, everybody, so here we go, day 2. You can still hear that there is distortion to my voice, a rasp, and not the healthy, good kind. So I know there's definitely still something going on there. It would have been nice if it just would have been in inflammation and it resolved, but I didn't really expect that. So I'm just going to do what I did yesterday and kind of go really soft and see where I detect the first sign of a problem. So I'm just going to go, okay. Goes around there. Okay, so that's F3 and 2 notes higher than E flat, so I'm pretty happy about that. Now I could just go, but I don't want to do that because I know that that's not 100% under control. So I always want to make sure that I'm going as soft as I possibly can. That's a good advice if you're trying to figure out how good your voice is for the day. Go as soft as you can because you're looking for that first indication of a problem, which right now is F3. And so the fact that that is 2 notes higher than yesterday means that there's something going on here. So I don't have a hard wall where I cannot produce a sound above that. And even if I give that a little bit more air and go, okay, so that's G when I start to feel like I get into trouble there. But at the same comparison to what happened yesterday, I've moved up from E flat to F. So that's a pretty good sign. Now, I will say some of the other things that I've been doing since the very beginning has been sinus rinsing, steam, and nebulizer. First of all, to kind of stop the coughing, which was the number 1 priority. But after that, kind of building up an environment for the voice to heal. So I've been making sure to do those on a regular basis. And other than that, I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing and see how tomorrow feels. So it's day 3 now, and I gotta say, I feel way more in control of my voice. I still hear the raspiness, but it doesn't feel like it's as bad. The coughing has pretty much all gone away, except for when I laugh, which seems very cruel. But I feel like I have control over my voice again. So I'm just going to do the same tests that I've done before, kind of see where we're at. But I'm actually hopeful for this. So if I do the same thing, which by the way, it doesn't matter what vowel I'm using since I'm just focusing on the connection of the voice, I can use whatever vowel that I want. I'm just kind of going. Okay, so A. Okay, so we went from E flat to F, now up to A. And one thing that I'm noticing that I don't know if you can hear is that even though it's breaking up, it is not as dramatic of an on-off kind of as it was in the past. So I can still hear the rasp in my voice, and so I know that there's still something going on, but I'm going to see, at this point, I think I'm just going to try to keep going and see what happens if I try to shift into an upper register. So if I just kind of go, okay, getting into trouble there. Okay, all right, so let's see, if I wonder if I can get that upper kind of a falsetto-y kind of like a, ooh, oh, there we go. No. Okay, so that little break there, I'm not too terribly worried about. I was not able to get any vibration up in kind of higher falsetto-y kind of range up there before now, actually. So, now it feels awkward, but it's still kind of connecting a little bit. So that gives me hope. It's starting to make me think that maybe there wasn't as much damage there as I initially thought. So I'm just going to keep up the things that I'm doing and hopefully tomorrow even see a bigger jump. Okay, so day 4. The past 2 days have been pretty incredible. Just listening to my speaking voice compared to the control that I had just 3 days ago, I'm pretty happy with this, and that this might actually come back in a day or two. I kind of anticipate the next couple of days to just be kind of getting back to normal, but I have I have control over all of the pitches in my range, even if they're not completely controlled and not completely back to normal. At least I know that I'm not having any skips in pitch. So, so it's kind of breaking and blending differently than I'm used to it feeling. But for the most part, I feel like I've got the majority of my voice back. So this goes to show you that if you play on the side of caution, that you can get your voice back even as bad as it was a few days ago. You can get your voice back in a couple of days. Now, the reason I know that I have kind of overestimated the amount of damage is that if this really was like a polyp or something that I created on my voice from the coughing, it wouldn't have healed this fast. I wouldn't expect it to get back to here any more than like a couple of weeks at least to start feeling like there's progress, and probably at least 8 to 10 weeks to feel like it's completely healed. So the fact that this happened in a few days means that I'm probably looking at something like an infection or just maybe some very extreme swelling. But I'm very happy that there doesn't seem to be any kind of damage to the voice. It's just a matter of kind of getting things to vibrate normally again. So here we are on day 4, and it is drastically different. It feels different than day 1 for sure. And I feel like it's just another day or two until I'm back to normal. So hopefully this was a good adventure to go on with me, that I could not get my voice back on a specific day. So I went from I'm going to get ready for today to I'm going to try to get better every single day until I'm back to normal. And so if I would have had to cancel something on the first day or the second day, like a show or something, depending on what I needed my voice to do, that would have been a short-term problem, but I would have got my voice back very quickly versus trying to sing on what I had a few days ago and possibly prolonging this even longer or making things even worse. And so it's important that you are constantly taking stock on where is my voice today? How does it feel? Is it harder than normal? And even now as I'm talking, I start to notice a little bit of distortion here and there. That is just the last remnants of whatever this was. But if you pay attention and you focus on getting your voice back in kind of a rehab manner and listen specifically to what's going on with your voice, you can get it back fairly quickly. Had there actually been more damage to my voice, I still would be optimistic that it would resolve. It just would have taken a little bit longer. I hope that this was a benefit for you, that you could see where my voice was, hopefully see the improvement from day to day. The fact that it kind of jumped over the last 2 days and seemed to resolve very quickly was a very good sign. But everything that I did in that first day and in that second day set me up for this. Had I pushed my voice more on those early days, I wouldn't be here now, and I could have been causing even more damage. So it's important to, if you don't know how to do it yourself, get some help. Get somebody who can help you figure out where your voice is, where it needs to be, and the steps to get there. And if you slow play it the way that I did, assuming that there's more damage than there actually is, you'll be happy when it heals a lot faster. Now, it was about a week until I felt completely back to my old self. I was at about 90-95% from the 5th day on. The last bit of work was more about coordinating again, sort of a mental reset to go back to the way that I remember things feeling. It's important not to let any habits that you formed when you were sick linger on after recovery. So, 3 main takeaways from this whole experience. Number 1, voice problems can hit anyone at any time. And sometimes it's not even your fault. A lot of people seem quick to blame vocal problems on wrong technique or bad singing, and those things could be at least a contributing factor. But we also have to remember that the voice's main function is to protect your airway, and sometimes that job creates a conflict with our vocal abilities, especially when there's a lot of coughing as part of it. And number 2, slow play it, especially at first. Those early moments are the most critical, whether it's a vocal problem or just a bad day. Now, they're also the worst sounding parts. Nobody likes to sound weak, but the best way to test your voice without doing more harm is softly. Let it feel weak. It also helps you identify the first sign of a problem. So don't trick yourself into thinking that your voice is better than it is. You could be making it worse, both by pushing your voice too hard and possibly forming some new bad habits. And number 3, voice recovery is an individual process. I didn't show much of the specific things that I did every day for one simple reason. Those things aren't set in stone and they're very fluid, depending on each moment. It's not linear either, no step 1, step 2. Rehabbing your voice is a very customized thing. There is no standard routine or set of exercises for you to do. It's more experimentation and changing the work to match the current status of your voice. Since we can't feel our voices, we rely on other indicators to guide the way. Now, if you don't know how to assess the various parts of your voice and work specifically on those things, get some help from a voice doctor, a speech therapist, or an experienced voice coach. Every case is different, and the quicker that you identify the trouble and address the exact problem or problems, the quicker you'll be able to get back to your old voice. So, there it is, working my own voice and getting faster results than I expected. It was a very nice surprise. I'm happy to be fully back to normal now, and I really hope that I don't need to go through this again for at least another couple of decades. And I also hope that you don't either. But if you do, you're now better armed with the knowledge to help heal your own voice, or at least know that you should get help if the problem doesn't seem to be getting any better.